When it comes to productivity and focus, the kind of relationship that we share with our family members, people who become part of our inner circle, is very important. It plays a very important role. And that is the topic that we're going to talk about today. Hi, I'm Divya Tampi. I help people to perform at their peak levels consistently. If you like what you watch, make sure that you like the video and do consider subscribing to this channel because I keep coming back with more videos on this topic. When a friendship starts to get toxic or becomes very difficult and starts to impact your peace of mind, you have a choice. You can choose to move on and change the status of the relationship to not being friends from being friends, right? But that's not the case with family relationships. Whether you like that relationship, you don't like that relationship, whether you find it toxic, whether you find it needy, those relationships are there to stay. Family relationships can be pretty complicated with their own unique history and the kind of impact that they can have on your state of mind. So how do you deal with family members who, to put it lightly, drive you mad? Before I get into the different techniques that you can use, let me start by saying that if you are talking about a relationship of your life, then you are a 50% stakeholder. While it may often seem like your relationship is like a car where the other person is on the driver's seat and you are this helpless passenger, most often a relationship is more like a boat where there are two people and both the people need to row to be able to move forward. So despite how you feel, you do have a significant role as well as influence on the quality of the relationship that you have with the other person. So here are a list of 7 things that you can do to make things better between you and this other person. Step number 1, stop trying to change this person. Now, when you see a family member who is behaving in ways that you really disapprove of, it is only natural for you to want to tell them and suggest to them so that they can change. But there are 3 reasons why this strategy is not going to work. Number 1, it's almost impossible to change a person unless they themselves are motivated to change. Reason number 2, when you constantly try to change somebody and equally consistently fail to see that change, you are going to feel really very frustrated, and this is going to make the situation worse than it already is. And the reason number 3 is that the more you point out the mistakes that they make and the more suggestions you give on how they can change, the more they are going to feel bad about it, they're going to feel rejected and see it as a way of you making them feel small. So as you can see, that's not going to help the relationship. Hence, a better strategy for you would be to stop trying to change that person and bring attention back to yourself. And consider changing your own thoughts and responses so as to feel more at peace. Step number 2, recognize the trigger points and refuse to rise to the bait. Now, there are bound to be certain topics that tend to drive you into a tizzy. Probably it drives the other person also into a tizzy. Identify these topics and trigger points in advance and reflect a little on how you would like to respond to these situations if they were to come up. Now, steer clear of any emotional reactions or arguments when these topics do come up. And when it does happen, pay attention to your breath. You will notice that your breath is hard and fast. Pay attention to making it deeper and slower. Breathe in deeply and breathe out completely. And let the moment pass without an outward reaction. If possible, convey to the other person in an even and a firm tone that you would not want to engage in this conversation at this point of time or ever. If they refuse to listen to you, then you may want to repeat your message again in an even tone and move away physically from that place. Step number 3, slowly wipe out the toxicity in the relationship. Now, it may have been weeks or months or even years since you have had a positive interaction with this person. But it may not always have been this way, and neither does it have to stay this way. Take a little bit of time to think about all the things that you like or may have liked at some point of time about this person, including the smallest and the most insignificant of the positive characteristics. You may not be very motivated to think about the good things about this person, but do it anyway. Whether it is their warmth towards the kids, or whether it is the way in which they look after the finances or trust you with their finances, or maybe the fact that they remember the important dates or remind you about small things that are important to you, or maybe they look after your food or other things, or maybe it's something like they get some repair work done. Every single small thing counts. Once you make this list, start making a note of the times when you see these behaviors in them again and genuinely appreciate these acts. Now, initially, you may want to appreciate the things that they do in your own head because you may not be very comfortable with saying it aloud. Okay, but slowly, once you start noticing it again and again, get into the habit of expressing it verbally to the other person as well. Initially, it will feel a little awkward for you to do that, but as time passes, you will get more comfortable doing that. Genuine appreciation and acknowledgement are powerful ways to make people feel valued and loved and to create a connection. Review the story that you're telling yourself. Having thoughts like my brother makes fun of me because he wants to put me down and wants to feel superior can leave you feeling very hurt and resentful. Or a thought like, my husband nags me because he doesn't trust me to take care of things can leave you feeling really sad and powerless. Let's take another, thinking something like, my daughter doesn't want to spend time with me because she finds me boring. Is another thought that could leave you feeling quite powerless. The fact that your brother jokes about you may actually have nothing to do with feeling superior, and it may have more to do with him trying to make things a little lighter. Or for that matter, your husband nagging you may have little to do with trust and may have more to do with wanting some sense of connection. Similarly, for the daughter, the fact that she doesn't pay attention to you or does not engage with you may have nothing to do with you being a boring parent, and it may have a lot to do with what is going on in the college. So what you need to do is write down the assumptions that you have been making and question their validity. As you can see, changing the narrative in your head can change immediately the way you feel. So opting for a more compassionate interpretation of the other person's actions and behaviors can be more empowering for you and lead to more harmony between you and the other person. Step number 5, listen deeply. Especially when it comes to our family members, we don't listen very well when in comparison to other people whom we meet less often. Hence, even before they have completed a sentence, we jump to conclusions about what they are trying to say and what they are trying to communicate. But try to really listen. Don't interrupt. Pay attention to their words, their tone of voice, their emotions. What do you think they are feeling as they are saying the words that they are saying? What do you think are some of their emotional needs that they want fulfilled as they are trying to communicate to you? Listening is a fundamental way of making a person feel valued and respected. When people feel like they are being listened to, then they tend to calm down. They become less defensive. In fact, over a period of time, they may learn to trust you and may also want to listen to what you have to say. Good listening goes a long way in creating healthy relationships. Step number 6, have compassion for yourself as well as for them. Charity begins at home, and compassion starts with self. When you try out these 5 steps that I have spoken about till now, there will be times that you will succeed and there will be times when you don't succeed. And those times you can feel frustrated. When you feel frustrated or helpless or hopeless, it is important that you offer yourself kindness and compassion. Give yourself understanding and empathy. Remember that you are also a human being who wants to feel loved, who wants to feel understood. Keep your hand on your heart and offer yourself that kindness. When you start being compassionate to yourself, it becomes so much more easier to be compassionate to others. Remember that they are doing their best based on what they know and what they believe. They also want to live a good life and want to feel loved and valued as you do. The last step is a very powerful one and what I refer to as the Brahmastra or the ultimate weapon. There are those times when the family member will continue to keep complaining or saying hurtful things despite you trying to stop them, despite you trying out the various steps that we have spoken about till now. This is a good time for you to really focus on the pain that the other person may be experiencing, which is forcing them to say and do the things that they are doing. So visualize the pain inside of that person and send them love and compassion. Now, this may sound counterintuitive and silly. The way to do this is visualize their heart, which is suffering right now, and mentally imagine love and compassion going from your heart to their heart, and keep repeating the words, I love you, I love you, I love you. Or you may say something like, may you experience joy, healing, and peace. May you experience joy, healing, and peace. Repeat that again and again as you visualize the loving energy go from your heart to their heart. So that was the last step. But despite this, if you have been consistently trying all the steps for a substantial period of time and you still don't see a difference, maybe it is time for you to move out physically, at least temporarily. Even close family relationships may be beyond repair at times. In such cases, the kindest thing that you can do to yourself as well as the other person is to move out. Remember that it is not people who are difficult, but behaviors and points of view which are conflicting, which gets challenging. At times, the change that is required may be not in the other, but in you. And often, it is easier to blame others rather than to bring about change in ourselves. And sometimes, staying a victim can be a coping mechanism to avoid taking responsibility. This is not to say that that's always the case. It is not, Sometimes the other person may have a need to change, and without that, it may not be possible for you to continue staying together or being in that relationship. I really hope this helps you. Do remember that people are designed to be different, that conflicts and disagreements are natural and normal. These are also opportunities for us to reflect on our own behaviors and bring about changes in ourselves and widen our scope and transform ourselves as well as our relationships. So look for the opportunity whenever you come across conflicts. I really hope that's helped you. So this is Divya Tampi signing off. I'll see you in the next video. Do make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel. See you.